I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, April the 27th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Vitalix is a convenient and economical source of energy for your cattle, increasing conception rates, weaning weights, daily gain, and overall health and immunity. Get the blue tub, go to Vitalix.com. Cash-fed cattle ignore fundamentals. We knew it was coming, and now we're starting to go through it here. Sometimes this fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region is kind of like a football game. You got one side, either the packer or the cattle feeder, gaining ground, and then you get a hiccup, you lose the momentum, and it's just tough to get it back. And your cattle feeders lost their momentum about this time last week. And we knew that the fat cattle market was going to be cheaper. We ended up losing nearly $2 on your weighted average on a live basis there. We've already lost that much again in the early trades that we've seen. In the last week, once we knew that we'd lost the momentum, and mostly due to your June live cattle contract trading at such a discount, $14 from what your weighted average was on your live price in the 5 area. But with the early sales so far in the northern plains are already $1 to mostly $2 lower, and that's just in early trades on a live basis. Dress sales $3 to $5 lower, in the early sales there. We really haven't seen our market established in the southern plains, but what few early sales we've seen are $3 to $4 lower in the southern plains. We're still hoping that they get a little bit more leg under them there and get more towards steady money. But losing that much on top of what we lost last week, and in about that same amount of time, your real-time index based on 800-pound feeder steers has gained more than $1. So on feeder cattle, you just got so many more players involved in it. They're hungry for cattle. They know that we got tight supplies of all classes of cattle, and they're wanting to buy them. We had some really good top sales on Wednesday, including Bassett livestock auction. They hadn't had a big sale for a couple of weeks, so that always spurs your index levels a little bit. And we saw some other big sales that sold really, really well there. But we heard of some plant problems from some of your major packers. Maybe what they would call it. There was some people said there was an explosion. I don't know if that was true, if there was an explosion at one of the big plants, but did have some boiler problems there. Also hearing that we might see some limited schedules next week from one of your major plants. And anytime you start hearing rumors about that, that just adds to the bearishness. And even though we're really, really tight on market-ready supplies of fat cattle, and your packers are really, really short on product, we're seeing a lower market again. We just can't seem to get around it for a while. Your cold storage report come out recently on meats, and your stockpiles of frozen product out there. Total beef is down 4% from just last month, and down 10% from this time a year ago. That is very significant, guys. And we know that they've been kind of robbing from their cold storage. They don't have a lot of product on hand because they've been running short on their purchases in the immediate cash market and in negotiated trade. They don't have that much more of their captive supplies to fill that in. And then overall, we know that our carcass weights are a lot lighter, so they're just not getting as much product from what they are harvesting there. But you look at the pork industry, which the pork industry and feeding hogs commercially has basically been lost here for the last 25 years or so. And everybody that feeds hogs is pretty much all contracted up, and the market as it moves back and forth doesn't really affect them like it does a cattle feeder. But you look at your pork cold storage, and available supplies was up 2% from last month and up 10% from a year ago. Yet you saw your June lean hogs trade $3.22 higher on Wednesday. If you guys can figure all that out, I wish you'd let me know, because anymore we have these hog factories, and they basically have a big dial on the outside. You can turn it up and turn it down anytime you want to. The dryness and the droughts and the lack of forage and things like that doesn't really affect them that much. Of course, feed prices do, but like I said, everybody's contracted up there for the most part. Very, very few independent hog feeders left, and who they'd sell those hogs to is very, very limited, but it's just hard to get a handle on that. You look at your board on Wednesday, April live cattle futures were up 22 cents, just kind of backing right into a parking spot there to come to full fruition here, and they are mature now, but ending the day at 174.52. June live cattle up 55 cents, gaining a little bit of ground, but still trading at a huge discount, but ending the day at 164.57. Your back months were all up, and up quite a bit, up 37 cents to over $1.05 higher there. April feeder cattle up 60 cents at 202.67. That's very close to what your CME cash feeder cattle index is. Real-time index is higher than that, and it's up to date and current. May feeder cattle up 85 cents at 210.27, and your back months on feeder cattle up $1.45 to up 215. So big gains there. Your May corn was down 5 cents at 641.5. December new crop down 4 3/4 cents, and corn has really been sliding here. There's a lot of deep soil moisture up there in the northern plains and parts of the Midwest with all the snow they had up there. They're planting like crazy right now where it's dry enough to do it, and we're really hoping for a bumper crop. And if we ever needed anything, we need a big corn crop this year. But December new crop corn ended the day on regular trading at 543.5 on Wednesday. May beans down 9 1/4 cents at 14.36 a bushel, and November new crop beans up 3/4 cent a bushel at 12.66 3/4. Fat cattle trade, like I said, it did start off on Wednesday a little bit, especially in the northern plains, and they're really tight on supplies. Why they gave in to lower prices. It was just all about the basis, guys, because everybody's hedged up to that June contract, and there's a huge basis there to add to your bottom line, and likely it's going to get push those cattle higher than they would have ever hoped that they could have got if we could have kept the higher market going. But Iowa sold 9,500 head on Wednesday. Live sales from 178 to 181. Compared to the bulk of the trade about it this time a week ago, that's $1 to mostly $2 lower. Dress sales at 285. Nebraska 3,200 head of confirmed sales on Wednesday from 176 to 180, a little wider spread there. And dress sales from 281 to 285, which was $3 to $5 lower than last week. Kansas about 400 head from 171 to 172. We're hoping that we don't establish the trade that low, but that's what we've seen so far. Texas only about 150 head confirmed, and they were all at 172. That would be $3 to $4 lower than last week if we end up getting that. But the Fed Cattle Exchange, an online competitive bidding format to sell finished cattle, they sold some beef on dairy cattle there on a bid the grid, but they get to establish the base price through competitive bidding there. Sold those beef on dairy cattle, which grade really, really well and hit the high spots on most of those grids at 174.5 on Wednesday, and that was in the Texas Panhandle. So, guys, look at that. Look how bad the Packers need the cattle. See what you can get done. Brick and mortar fat cattle auction on Wednesday was Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. They sold fats from 185 to 188 1/4. Why guys are so scared to take their cattle to a sale barn, I don't know, because they bring good money. They will easily pay your expenses and commission there. That trend on those fed cattle was $1 to $5 higher than last week. Box beef cutout values were higher. Packers get along good with that. Choice cuts 309.24, up $1.61. This is an all-time record high for this time of year, guys. and your selects 287.94, up 32 cents. Slaughter running pretty well. 374,000 harvested through the first 3 days of this week. That's exactly the same as a week ago and a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Getting close to the end of the month, we'll be releasing the results of the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, and the big winner, whoever it is, and I haven't looked at all of them, and I'm not in the selection process, but my co-workers do that. The winner for the month will be getting a grand prize of a case of Ferropeace, that revolutionary product that calms the cattle down and very easy to administer there. Also some really cool swag from Beaver Feed out of Beaver, Oklahoma, and our friends at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma there. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday sitting at 204.91. That was up $1.09. Big gains there, and I told you Bassett had a sale which was responsible for a lot of that. Yankton, South Dakota had a good sale. Several regional markets all around the country sold cattle really well, and even our high volume sales did so too. Be sure to check out a sale that's going to be here on Thursday at 2 o'clock Central. It's Elite Livestock Sales out of Alabama there, guys. The guys that used to be at Montgomery Stockyards there got 80 loads of green ryegrass yearlings they're going to have up for sale there, guys. Get on to dvauction.com. Check out the videos of those cattle. Get yourself approved and be ready to bid on those cattle. Coming to you this time from Bossier City, Louisiana. Going to be going up on Thursday morning to an extension field day in Homer, Louisiana, to give a presentation there, and I hope to see several of our Feeder Flash gang members when I show up there to that event. Talk about one of your big midweek sales here. OKC West, Reno, Oklahoma, one of the very biggest, 7,600 head for their 2-day sale with calves on Tuesday and feeders on Wednesday. The calves on Tuesday sold steady. Feeders on Wednesday steady to $4 higher. And like I say, your feeder market's got its legs back under it again. I mean, and rolling, guys. But you look at this automated market report from El Reno there, and they're a DV auction broadcaster. They're good friends of ours. Look at your best tested weights. Ignore the lighter weights of calves because there were just odd things selling there on Wednesday. Bulk of your good calves sold on Tuesday, and this is just Wednesday's report. But 905 head of 7-weight steers in El Reno, Oklahoma, averaged 751 pounds with a weighted average price of $204.91. That weighted average price was about $2 higher than a week ago. 912 head of 8-weight steers averaged $844 with a weighted average price of $195.39, which is about $1 higher. There was a big run of feeder heifers, guys. 1,033 head of 6-weight feeder heifers there averaged 650 pounds. Weighted average price on all of those was $203.11, which was actually about $1 lower, but a big run of those. 1,087 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 751 with a weighted average price of $188.40, which was pretty much exactly steady with that weighted average weight group from a week ago. How about winter livestock in Dodge City, Kansas? 1,700 head there, so dry there, starting to get a little bit of moisture in that area. Probably not as much as we hoped for, but we'll take what we get, guys. Feeders steady to $2 higher. Calves were not well tested there in Dodge City on Wednesday. Talk about your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day, and it was Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska. I've been talking about them already in this report. 5,800 head on offer there, and you look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. Going to give you several weight groups of steers here, and any of these could be individual quotes, but this is all the cattle that they sold at Bassett on Wednesday. 619 head of 5-weight steer calves in Bassett, Nebraska, averaged 543 pounds with a weighted average price of $274.62. Wow. 1,179 head of 6-weight steer calves in Bassett, averaged 654 pounds with a weighted average price of $250.35. 757 head of 7-weight steers, average 741. Weighted average price on all of them, $228.79. And 507 head of your 8-weight steers in Bassett, Nebraska, averaged $828, with a weighted average price, guys, on all those 500 plus steers of $213.47, weighing nearly 830, guys. Look at your best tested weight of heifers, 751 head of 500-pound 5-weight heifers, average 554, with an average price of $243.92. Give you some individual stick-out sales. How about Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota, at their feeder sale on Wednesday? 95 head of big near-beer steers weighed 1,047 pounds and bring $186. The buyer of those, I'm sure a farmer feeder, probably wanting to empty out his bin on the farm there and then walk it to town through those cattle, but he's pretty optimistic, and he must have an impressive cost of gain there, because we have lost that market on your fats. Hope to get it back by the time those are done. Look at another sale I don't think I've ever talked about before. Was a little bit curious about this quote because I don't have anybody there that I could check it with, and likely the cattle were on some kind of a program if indeed they sold this well, but it come through the clouds on Cattle Market Central. It was Western Livestock Auction in Great Falls, Montana. 89 steers weigh 730 pounds, bring $242.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, in your Macrocin No BS top quote for the day, indeed come out of Bassett, Nebraska, at Bassett Livestock Auction. It was 208 head of 830-pound steers, non-program, just cattle, guys, and the best you can find anywhere in the world at $220.50. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.